Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for AMA number 32. I'm YamatoCannon, Fnatic's head coach. I added that part, even though most of you know already who I am, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, right? It feels damn good to say. Nevertheless, let's jump right into it. I've gotten Berlin, so I'm going to be reading the questions off my phone. So when I'm looking down and reading, I'm not being rude. I'm just reading the question off my phone because, as I mentioned, I'm getting Berlin. That means that my internet is dead. Let's jump in to the first question. But before, if you have any questions, ask them on the YamatoCannon subreddit. Join our Discord for discussions and post whatever you want. It's pretty open. I would love to see more activity. I'm in the process of creating potential merch, but I can't find like a supplier that really fits the bill of, creating clothes that fit my persona, so to speak. So I think we might start out with, simple t-shirts. My idea is to send something, special along to make the process, interesting. And my idea is to do it at a very, very small profit margin, because the idea is not to make a profit. The idea is, if people want to represent the channel and support the channel, it shouldn't be too expensive. But of course, whoever creates the merch have their fees in place. But that's for the future. But if you have any ideas, let me know. Maybe I can process that too. Okay, now let's jump into the first question. God Exorcist. That's the name and a half. Who is your favorite non-European pro player and why? So the three names that come to mind, like in terms of how they've shaped League of Legends and how they've impacted League of Legends, I would say Faker. Naturally, the idea of Faker, working with Faker, all the things that surround Faker, this is just something that is inherently very, very interesting, It is the equivalent of, Michael Jordan. In my eyes, Faker has done the most for League of Legends than any other player, so it's natural for me to have him as my favorite non-European player. The second two names would be Deshae, and it would be Rookie, because I think they come close. I think they come very, very close. And the community has a very, very short-term memory in terms of what the hive mind believes and thinks. Even in cases of Faker, people think these players are like, how can you even put the name of these players in the same sentence as the word washed up? It's just, the memory is so short-term based that people are not looking at the big picture. Even the shy people are talking about how he had a shit year because a couple of games that were terrible. He still dominated for the majority of the year. He just did. And I think when I look at the three players that have achieved the highest level of individual caliber, I look at these three. And I know there's arguments for others too, but these are the three that are my favorites, my personal favorites. God Exorcist also asks, which European rookie are you most looking forward to seeing playing the LEC this coming year and why? I think if anything, there's this rookie, imported from North America. It's called Niski. Pretty hype, pretty pog. The serious answer would probably be Tinks. I think jungle is a role that hasn't had a lot of density in terms of, how many good performers there are in Europe. And I feel like Tinks is one of the players that can maybe elevate the level. We have Selfmade, of course. We have Jankos, we have Inspired. And the question is, can someone non-Polish be fantastic? That's the question. Before I continue answering this question, I need you guys to help me. There's this enemy, our enemy, Jeff Bezos. Help me defeat him. Help me defeat him. He is the algorithm, and I need you to just write a random comment, like the video, subscribe even, to help me defeat Jeff Bezos. Otherwise, a minute will pass every 60 seconds. Back to the question. Prismacule, can Upset fill in Rekkles' shoes on Fnatic? Well, he's not coming into Fnatic to fill Rekkles' shoes. Rekkles is his own player and Upset is his own player. Keep in mind, Upset is very early on in his career. He's been quite impactful as a player in his time, over the time he's been a player. And I think this is his, big breakthrough. He's played in the finals against Fnatic, and I think now the things are aligning for him. The man I think he's turning 21 in this December, so he's very, very young. I think all in all, there is a lot of potential here for Elias, and he's not coming in to fill any shoes. He's looking to, put his own big-ass boots on the shelf in the Fnatic house. And that's the freedom we're giving him. And I believe in him completely. And I know that he has a great potential. And it's always, when a dynamic shifts, maybe we're going to see a better version of Hylissang than ever before, or maybe Whip was enabled in one way. Always when dynamics change, the people within the previous dynamic also change. And I think with our acquisitions, since your question was referring to Upset specifically, I think, all in all, watching them play together already from a very, very, early beginning, I am excited for what's to come, I know that Rekkles and Hylissang, they played together for a very long time, but, in the past, maybe they didn't align, always. And I feel like from the get-go, I feel like Upset and Hylissang align more on what they want to achieve within the game. And I think that's a massive strength. Siakov16 asks, what is the goal for the squad throughout the year, and who are you most excited to work with on Fnatic? I am the most excited to work with Tolkien, honestly. He knows how to, apply new and fresh ideas to how practice is being viewed, and I love all the discussions I've been having with him. In terms of players, I'm assuming that's where you wanted to, head in that direction you wanted to head in with this question. I think in regards to players, honestly, all of them are so unique, in terms of how their career has been. They all have very unique experiences. Bwipo is quite the character, that's exciting in itself. He's very talkative, passionate. I love, to interact with people that are like this in regards to the game. Self-made, he had this massive, burst out to stardom the last couple of years, this year specifically. His experience is very unique and different. All of their stories are so, different from each other. Even Hylissang, he had all the time on Unicorns of Love, and that's easy to forget now because he's on Fnatic. He's been on Fnatic for a long time, but I've been competing against Hylissang for a very, very long time. I lost the best of 5 against him in quarters back in season 5. Unicorns of Love beat us because of Vichichachi's split push. And I remember Hylissang was roaming top with his Annie support, doing things that were very outside of the box. And his journey has also been very unique and different. And looking at Upset, I already spoke about Upset. Niski was over in North America. He did things over with Splice as well. And I also lost against Niski Cassiopeia in a best of 5. And he went over to North America, won a split, and then the team was in shambles. And knowing all of the inside information, I know exactly why that happened. And, these experiences, it's very intriguing to learn from. It's very intriguing to get to know because these experiences shape people and shape players. So I'm excited to work with each and one of them because everyone brings something very unique to the table. Kled and Skarl asks, how do you think G2 will be with Rekkles regarding not only the tournament performance, but the atmosphere in the team too. The thing is, you reach a certain level and point in time where, this is something that Rekkles probably put a lot of thought into. I think he is mature enough as a person and as a player to deal with any type of team situation. I don't think he's going to be, the person to necessarily, demand massive changes because the players don't align with him. He knows coming into the team that this is the team that has beat him, right? He's coming there to add, not to rebuild, because they have, won time and time again. So I don't think it's going to be like a massive, problem internally. The only question is how important was Perkz for this to function, right? The only thing that we see as spectators is what the players do with their champions on the Rift, right? We don't know anything about communication. We don't know about how they review or how they improve or how they grow. And Perkz can be very, if you just speculate about it, you can imagine that he was an integral part of this. But then again, this is only speculation because I can't know for sure. Like I know somewhat the players there, but still it's speculation, right? Nevertheless, I still think G2 with this acquisition is the team to beat in Europe. On paper, they are the favorites to win it all. And as Fnatic, we're going to do everything in our power to look to beat them. I think it would be, very disingenuous to say anything else about how it looks like on paper. Oscar0818. What do you think of the newly released champions, Yon Samira, coming into pro play next splits? I think these are the type of champions that, they are just bound to create highlight reels. So I'm pretty excited. Rani J70. Favorite alcoholic beverages? I don't mind you naming a couple. I think gin and tonic is the best one. And I fucking love cucumber. Cucumber in my drinks, man. I fucking love gin and tonic with cucumber. It's probably my favorite. If we're talking about certain tonics, I really like Hendrix, but I'm not much of a drinker. It's very, very rare, very, very rare. Maybe fake. How do you earn the respect of players that initially have a negative opinion of you? Change their opinion through action. Don't do it through words, do it through action. Action is very important because you want them to convince themselves. You don't want to be the one convincing them. And the only way for you to do that is to show. Vaknar1401, with you being on Fnatic's coaching staff, will you still be allowed to do Lex Clash games with Frost Cathedral plus Medic? It's gonna be very hard. I can barely find time to do these AMAs. It's very time consuming to work as a coach, and I doubt that I will have any free time, especially because I plan to win fucking everything. Ishak Z, do you think that Nemesis will come back to the LEC? If so, do you think that he can achieve a better level? I think, always at the point in your life when you make such a drastic change. So this is a very drastic change for Nemesis, right? He was in Fnatic for 2 years. He's, changing his life. Now he's at the crossroads, Either he uses that to become the person that, is the best version of himself, or he becomes bitter, right? There's always that question, when you're faced with a challenge, you are now, after the off-season, you are teammates. When you're faced with that challenge, either you rise to the challenge or you let it make you bitter. And I think any experience, if you turn it the right way, look at it from the right perspective, can make you into a better player. So I think there is still, room for improvement, individual improvement for Nemesis, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to the LEC. Another thing is, a lot of teams in the LEC are taking a lot of big risks on rookies, right? And that's okay. That's okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if between spring and summer there's going to be signings. Yeah, they're just waiting, right? A lot of players are just waiting, and I think there are certain balances that you need to meet. I've been an advocate for rookies since the beginning, right? Since the beginning of my coaching career, I've been an advocate for, the players that have great potential. But I think there's a certain balance that needs to be met. I think you can make a pretty decent team with players that are not on teams and have played in the LEC before. Which team outside of Europe do you think looks the strongest? Norn Identity asks. I think naturally T1. I think a lot of people are hyped on Team Liquid. And I understand why. I really understand why, because on paper that looks insane. But in terms of Mithy, Perkz, Cloud9, Zen, Vulcan, them working together, that is a very intelligent team, I think Team Liquid have more to offer in terms of firepower, but Cloud9, they have a level of intelligence there that is very, very exciting to think about. And I think they could become outliers because they could just play games more intelligently than a Team Liquid, because I think Team Liquid is a team that is very solid, and they're going to get like leads through lanes, and they're going to be able to win games just because they're individually better, and then just limit the amount of mistakes they can make. But if Cloud9 find ways to be creative and to reshape the game, I think that's super exciting in itself. And I think Cloud9 is looking like an interesting team. Over in China, I'm still looking at IG. I don't know what's going on with the Shy, but IG is always a team that I'm looking out for. FPX with Naguri, that's also pretty hype. I don't know what's happening with some of the roster changes in China, because their off-season functions are a little bit different, so I can't speculate too much on China. But in terms of Korea, I think naturally you're looking at T1 and Damwon. The strange thing about Korea is that a lot of great level players are scattered amongst teams, because there's been issues with organizations in the past and so forth. So it's kind of a lot of good players are scattered all over the place. And of course, I'm going to support Sandbox with all of my heart. And I think they've made some interesting acquisitions too, with effort coming in. And of course, I need to give a shout out to my dear friend Gorilla, who announced his retirement. And honestly, he's the kindest person on the planet. Like he should be, he's the Dalai Lama, man. He's so kind, so sweet, and at the same time, what a fucking career this guy has had. Absolute monster of a career. And he was, an integral part of the best of 5 that we've ever seen in the history of League of Legends. And I don't think we're going to find the best of 5 that's going to change that. Just the Tigers versus SKT. What a best of 5. Gorilla's the man. Additional ad 7295. How do you feel about that the head of esports said that he doesn't want NA to become an import region, but it is on its way to become one? Some people would say it already is one. What's wrong with it being an import region? Who gives a damn? Well, who gives a fuck, man? People think importing is bad. No, it's not. No. It really isn't. The best players in North America are imports. How could you argue against importing? The question is just, who do you import? What do you import? Like, do you just import a player and then expect, he played this well in Europe, we expect him to play this well in North America, and then you don't give a fuck about protecting your investment or setting up your investment for success? This is the issue. I don't give a damn about importing. There's no argument against importing. Are you saying Cloud9 are making a mistake by bringing in Perkz? Is it a mistake to bring in Afari? No. Who gives a damn? It's like there are good imports to make and there are bad imports to make, and there are good imports to make that are mismanaged. That happens very, very often. You can't just bring in someone and expect they're going to perform the same way, because the environment is completely different. You need to set your imports up for success. You need to set up any player for success, because often it's like they spend a bag, boom, big bag of money for a player, and then that's an investment, right? And then you keep that investment. Let's say you don't do anything in your power to protect it. You know, you have to. It's like, let's say you have a bundle of cash, and then you just store it under, like, in the toilet. Like, whoa, it's messed up. You get yourself a nice wallet, leather. You know, you protect it. You make sure you maybe put it in a safe or something. You get what my point. You get my point. You don't need an analogy. I don't know why I started talking about putting money in the toilet. Must be all the Pokemon cards I've been buying. How much can you bench? I am a moth, AMA asked 4 days ago, so he's probably dead. I honestly don't know what I bench. Probably not much, because I haven't benched them forever. The most I bench in my life is maybe 90 kilos. But now I would be surprised if I can do half of it. Like, now I just do body weight exercises. I do push-ups. I do sit-ups and shit, you know? I do walking. I have a airtime bike, you know? That's how I keep myself busy, very light. Because that's what I need my body to be, you know, fit, that's all. I don't find myself under a car and I need to bench press. Like, that's very rare. Sweet Hammers, will you fix Fnatic 2v2 mid? Yeah. I think, you know, I have two players that are great. It's all about just making them work together. Fuck it. Possible. Seb1TAS asks, Perkz said in an interview that coaches are useless in stealing a paycheck and that most of the work is done by the players. What do you think about this? I think in most cases he's right. Yeah, in most cases he's right. When I had coaches when I was a player, for sure. And that's, you know, what it comes in. As a coach, how much responsibility are you looking to take upon yourself? And I take all of it on me, right? And I haven't worked with Perkz, but I understand where he's coming from. I think there's a lot of paycheck stealers scattered all over the world. As the final question, Vrectech asks, what would you value more and why? 1. A team with good individual players but weaker synergy. Or 2. A team with weaker individual players but good synergy. I would take the good individual players because the ceiling is higher. Synergy is something that can be taught. Working together is something that can be learned. Individual strength can also be, practiced and improved on, but it's tougher. Sometimes that ceiling, has already been met, and that makes it a lot more difficult. With that being said, that ends the AMA. Thank you so much for watching. If you have your questions, ask them on the YamatoCannon subreddit. All in all, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bless you and bless your face if you sneezed during this video.